Now, up next, what do you imagine it would be like if, whether you like writing or not, you actually learned how to write so you can literally change the world? And on that note, I would love to invite Dina. I'm going to add you now, Dina, to the stage to talk to us about how the OpEd project helps women to write so that they can literally, and when I say literally, like I know at least 25 people that have written op-eds, because I've been through the OpEd project twice, that have written articles that have transformed the way laws are written, that have transformed the way people respond to a situation. And so I am excited to bring to you the OpEd project, and by way of Dina Chalabi. Did I say your name right? Is Dina Chalabi?
Chalabi.
Chalabi. There you go. Hi, Dina. How are you?
It's great to be here, Yotunde. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you for that fantastic introduction. I couldn't ask for a better one.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, I feel like I think when I think about introducing yourself, I think God and you know yourself best and the work that you do. So can you please lovingly tell us about the OpEd project and what you do with the OpEd project?
I would be delighted. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us. And thank you, my colleague, wonderful colleague, Ada, for being here with me as well. So hi, everybody. I am Dina Chalabi. I am the Senior Director of Growth and Partnerships at the OpEd Project. And we are an organization that has been around for 15 years. We were founded in 2008. We are a social enterprise, a thought leadership social enterprise that amplifies, elevates, and accelerates the ideas and public impact of underrepresented people's voices, especially that of women and especially people of color. We were founded because our founder, Katie Orenstein, learned a pretty terrible and somewhat shocking but not surprising statistics that in 2007, 2008, the proportion of people in the portion of op-eds, so opinion pieces in mainstream media outlets that were not written by white men was 15%. That's 15%. Pretty terrible statistic, but perhaps not surprising to any of us. This was something that Katie thought needed to be remedied because, as we know, those whose voices get heard in places like mainstream opinion pages are the same people who go on to have their voices heard in other forums. So Katie then learned that it wasn't just the number of people who were being published that was 15%. It was that was the same percentage as the number of people who were pitching to these publications. So if you did pitch as a person of a different kind of background, you were very likely to get published. But the problem was that people were not pitching. So then she thought to herself, okay, well, that's not, I cannot do anything about what's happening behind the scenes. I have no control over how people make decisions, but I can change who puts their voices out into the world. So that became her mission. So that was in 2008. We have since been able to train more than 20,000 people to take the workshop that I'm going to talk to you about, right, to change the world. And we've seen tremendous impact. As Yotunde mentioned, I'm not surprised that you know so many people, but so many people who've come through our programs have gone on to have incredible impact, and I will talk more about that. But yeah, so we exist primarily to think about, to make sure that we're increasing the range and the voices of people that we hear in the world and the quality of the ideas. Because, as I just said, the voices that we hear come from extremely narrow slice of society, mostly Western, white, privileged, and overwhelmingly male. And that's not okay. So all of us are working towards, getting our voices out into the world. And we know that it's not a lack of knowledge or experience, but we exist. Unfortunately, we swim in a culture where underrepresented voices, especially women of color, rarely have the inside information, high-level support, and top connections to become influential on a large scale, which is why the work that IC does, that this program does, that all of these initiatives do that you're working towards are so, so important. So how did I get here? Well, I first took this workshop, Right to Change the World, back in 2013. So it's been over a decade since I first was connected to the OpEd project. And I joined the organization just over 2.5 years ago, because I came out of an arts background. My fellow breakout cohort were arts people. I also come from an arts background. I was in the art world for 10 years, and I was in the Middle East, where I was helping to open the Arab Museum of Modern Art in Qatar, of all places. And it was an incredible opportunity. And someone said, oh, you should write about this. I met someone from Al Jazeera English who said, oh, you should write about this. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not qualified. And he said, surely there are only a handful of people in the whole world who know about what you do. And I said, well, yeah, but still. And he's like, okay, when you go back to the States, I want you to take this workshop. And he was right, because the whole idea about Right to Change the World is that your experience and your expertise matters, your voice matters. And so once I took that workshop, to be honest, I personally still haven't written an op-ed. I hate to say it, but it's true. But I've used the skills and the techniques that I learned and the framework in every single room that I've ever walked into since. And it is really honestly transformed my career. So when I was thinking, I was leaving the art world because I'm like, okay, the world is on fire. I have to do something that's more directly impactful. I was so excited to become part of this organization that really does think about partnership and trying to work with organizations working towards racial justice, gender justice, health equity, all these amazing things. How do we fix the climate? But knowing that we need a diversity of voices to do that. So the mission of the OpEd project is to change who writes history. We believe the story we tell becomes the world we live in. The world is more intelligent when it's more inclusive, and the best ideas, regardless of where they come from and who they come from, should have a chance to be heard and to change the world. So how do we do that? Well, through our workshop, Right to Change the World, we have, it's a two-part experience that takes place on Zoom. We used to do it in person all over the country, but now we do it on Zoom primarily so that we can serve people all over the world. And in fact, last year we had a group of people who came through where the biggest majority of people in the room were from Malawi. So like, honestly, everyone's coming from all over. It was awesome. But essentially the two-part workshop, the first half is a conceptual framework for sharing your voice and thinking about how you enhance your credibility. What do you know? How do you know it? And how does what you know matter? That plus, how do you make sure that you are really putting forward your most credible self in this unfair world we live in? And then the second half of the workshop really is tried and tested tools and training for developing a values-based, evidence-driven argument that is timely and that it's going to capture an editor's attention. And why are we teaching op-eds? Not because an op-ed is the only way that one can share an idea, but because an op-ed is like, we think of it like as a piece of source code. Right? If you put an op-ed out in the world and a gatekeeper at a major publication, or even a small publication, a local publication, a niche publication, it doesn't matter. But if someone else tells you that that idea matters enough that they're going to share it with their community, that gives you the boost of confidence you need to know that that idea has the potential to catch fire. And if you know that, then you never know what else is going to happen. Someone might read that op-ed and decide to contact you for consulting. Someone might read that op-ed and invite you onto their podcast. Someone might read that op-ed and learn, be able to connect with you about any other way of anything else you might want to do. So the op-eds that we teach, the way that we teach people how to share their ideas is not because we need everyone to be thinking about writing for the New York Times. I don't think that's necessarily relevant to everyone, and it's certainly not realistic, but it is an opportunity to think about shaping your ideas in a way that people will hear them and the way that they will resonate. So that's our workshop. Our core workshop is Right to Change the World. And then the way that we do it, the idea of 7 hours on Zoom sounds terrifying to most people. I don't blame you. But the way that we do it is that we make it playful, we make it dynamic, and it's completely results oriented. So the curriculum is developed based on like all kinds of models of transformational learning for adults. And we make it very interactive and very, very focused. So you learn tools about how to develop really powerful arguments. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. We push people, but we do it on purpose because we want people to understand that the stakes are high. You have one voice, you have one life, and people need to hear your ideas right now. We also make it tied to concrete outcomes. By the time you finish the workshop, there are, if you've been playing along, you've developed an outline for a piece. And that you then have the opportunity to develop that piece into a full-fledged draft. And then everyone who completes our workshop gets access to our incredible group of journalist mentors who give people feedback on their drafts via email. And that doubles your chances of publication success. And that's all part of the workshop. So when I tell people 7 hours on Zoom, but I usually tell them to imagine a 10-hour commitment. Imagine that you're going to, take that, give yourself 10 hours, invest in that time, and what you end up with is a piece that you can pitch and that might just change the world. So we do this Right to Change the World workshop. We do it 2 to 3 times a month on Zoom. So depending on your time zone, there should be one time a month that's going to work for you. We also have an advanced workshop that we do twice a year for those people who completed our core workshop. On top of that, each week we have something called Ask a Journalist, which is office hours with a journalist who's rooting for you. Every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Even if you haven't taken our workshop, you can just come along and listen and hear about how other people are getting feedback on their writing so that you can make yours even better. And then every month we have an expert talk. And those are all about the ideas that we share in our rooms. How do we make our work more impactful in the world? And actually, I think really appropriately for this group, we have a talk coming up just next Tuesday evening, Eastern time, at 7 p.m. Eastern time. The fabulous Tiffany Dufu of The Crew is going to be speaking with another entrepreneur on how to tell the story of your business. So I'm going to drop that link in case you're interested into the chat, if that's okay. Thank you, Ada, for sharing the link to the workshops, and this is the link to the talk in case you'd like to join us, because it's so relevant to what everyone's doing here. And then I know I don't have a lot of time left, so I'm just going to say a couple more things. One of the exciting things, so I didn't get to share with my group about what is the exciting thing that we're working on that I'm super excited about, so I'll share it with you all, which is we're developing, in addition to our core workshop, we're also developing due to popular demand, a membership program so that people can continue to get ongoing motivation. The workshop, people come out of the workshop on fire, right? They are so motivated, they're so inspired. But how do you keep that momentum going when there's so much going on in life? And that's what we're doing. So we're creating an opportunity to continue to enhance your leadership, your thought leadership, and by giving regular access to all of the other things that I mentioned, the expert talks and the office hours, among other resources, and the opportunity to meet other amazing people who are sharing their voice. Lastly, I'll just say there are certain things that we super value that we believe that are necessary for doing this work in the world. And I can just tell from seeing some of your faces and learning a little bit about the work that you're all doing that you probably share these too. So I'm just going to share them with you. So we believe in courage. That we believe that we don't talk about creating safe spaces in our rooms because we don't believe that for any of us, any woman of color who's putting her voice out into the world, it is not necessarily safe to do so, but we believe it's necessary, and that if we're going to, there may be consequences, but the alternative is to be inconsequential. That's one of our core phrases. So we want people to think about what it means to be courageous and brave, and that we are creating brave spaces together in order to do this work. Sustainability is baked into our model and our mission. We run our rooms on a social justice model where up to 30% of any room is scholarship. So it means that people can attend regardless of means. Obviously we want people to pay if they can, but if they can't, they can come in no matter what. And we work from the top down and bottom up. We work with major universities, Yale, Stanford, whatever. And then we also work with grassroots organizations across the country and across the world. We believe that cross-pollination makes us smarter and more effective. So we believe in bringing people in from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of organizations, all kinds of fields, all kinds of identities. And sometimes that can create tensions, but most of the time it's transformative. We have rooms that are at least, we average around 55% people of color and about 85% women and non-binary people, just to give you a sense of who's going to be in the room if you were to join us. And then finally, we believe in an investment mindset. We never talk about helping anyone. We're not here to help people. I mean, it's good to help people, but we really talk about, investing in them. We really believe that and I know that that's something that you all share as well. And then finally, as I mentioned, we are here to create outcomes, not just service. So if you're interested in joining us, I'd love to offer you, Ada's put a link in a chat about the workshops, but we'll be able to share something else, a little resource with you at the end once we've done that. So thank you all so much. It's an absolute pleasure, and I'm very excited to be able to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I can tell I'm with you. I just did the OpEd project twice. Actually, one of my friends who I dragged excitedly to do it with me, Elizabeth, I think she's here. We both did the OpEd project again this summer, I think in June. And so I actually have my OpEd project done. I'm just like, there's a couple of things I want to get done so I can pitch. And the idea, ladies, is if you're not familiar with what an OpEd is an opinion. So think about the words together, an opinion, educative piece on whatever it is that sets your heart on fire. But imagine it appearing in a major publication to the leaders that actually matter to the work that you do. And so the impact, when you talk about what is it, grassroots impact, it is raw and it's a lot. So it gives you, think about the quantum leap of your idea. Op-eds make that possible. So explore this as an option of something you want to add to what you can do next year to literally quantum leap and skyrocket your idea, so that we're not dragging our feet waiting for, what is that thing that people always say, when you're taking your time to build an audience. Like we don't have the time, ladies. We're like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. We're like out there. We don't have the time. So this is one of the ways to accelerate your idea. And I'm actually looking forward to publishing my op-ed, and I will share with you guys so that you have a better understanding of how literally writing an op-ed can change how you show up in the world, the perception that people have of your brand and your personality, and the work that you do. So thank you so much for joining us today. And if you have any questions, guys, about it, please ask in the comments. I'm going to see if I have anything here and post up. Let's see. No time for organic growth. Yeah. Yeah, that's what Adela said. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Dana, they said. And cross-pollination makes us smarter. Thank you so much. If I have any questions that come in, I will send them to you, and I will send a follow-up email to this incredible ladies about the OpEd project so that we can correspond with you from there. And ladies, I'll send the email to you if you're interested in writing your op-ed and joining this program and the workshop. I'll give you the word to use, which is actually just IC op-ed, so that they know that you're coming from here. And not like they'll treat you better, but they'll treat you better. But write down IC op-ed, and so explore writing an op-ed for next year. Like, let's quantum leap your reach. No more, you know, hustling to get this, like, op-eds. Just put it in your book for next year. Thank you so much for
thank
that
you,
lovely presentation.
and thank you all.
Any
we hope
words?
to see you. And yeah, as Jacinda will share the code, and we'll give you a little extra something for it. So thank you so much. I hope to see you.
Awesome. Thank you.